This stone building is a great subject for beginners at drawing and beginners at drawing architecture, particularly when we're drawing freehand in ink, and so every mark we put on the paper is going to be there at the end. So we have to learn to develop a strategy, a way of drawing that allows for this and allows for the fact that not every mark is going to be exactly where we want it to be. So putting little marks to position things is part of my strategy for drawing freehand in ink and giving every mark a good chance of being in a helpful place. So I start with these two central columns, square stone pillars. And you'll see that I often put lines, ink lines on the reference to help me get a sense of how wide is the gap. And that can be helpful when there is a lot of detail behind the gap with this door here, because that can affect how we see the gap. But if I draw the straight line, I can focus on the straight line for the width. And sorry about that. I had to turn the camera off for a minute, and there were a couple of minutes where I didn't have it on when I restarted with the door. But you might have seen I did a number of dots from the left column to the right column to help me position the right column, just estimating where those details were going to go. So I used the details that had to fit between the two columns to help me check whether the width I was thinking between the two columns was going to be close enough. And you see I'm putting some more dots to just help me visualize, okay, well, if one column is there and the other column's there, do those gaps look like they're enough space? And there are more details behind these columns as well. So I'm trying to visualize those details. Now I do make a mistake here because I didn't observe carefully enough. Look at that, what I'm drawing just now, and look at my reference. In fact, it's wider because this column is attached to the wall. That just comes from poor observation. It's so easy when we draw to think we've seen all the detail we need to see before we start to draw when we haven't. You'll notice with these arches, I put a dot where I think the top of the arch is going to go, and then I draw the arch in two sections because it's easier to draw a quarter circle freehand accurately than a half circle. And so now I'm just strengthening a few lines because they are significant lines and they will have darker spaces around them. Don't get into the habit though of simply going over lines while you're thinking of what to do next, or just as make a stronger outline, because we won't want heavy, strong outlines around every line or around the outline. Variation of line work is one of the ways we introduce a sense of life and reality into our drawing, because in life, not every line or edge that we see has the same strength as every other line or edge. So we want our marks on the paper to reproduce this variety. So now, again, you'll see I put a dot where these upper arched lines are going to meet. I find placing dots on the paper to help me position things when I draw freehand in ink is invaluable, because generally the marks can be hidden by the end, and even if I put the mark too far outside what I'm going to end up drawing, it's not a very obvious thing to have at the end because we're going to be focused on the drawing. Now, while these arches look a little bit blotchy at the moment, I'm not worried about that because firstly, this is a fairly quick drawing. You're watching this now at double speed. So if you want to watch me draw it in real time, you can use the speed slider to reduce this to half speed, and you'll be watching me draw in real time. So now, positioning the sides, the framing of these thin arched windows, and they have a fairly wide border as well. And so we can see very easily how accurate our proportions are as to whether all the elements of these tall windows on each side of the doorway, whether they all fit properly. So now I go with some of the upper parts. And if you're finding this interesting, please hit the like button. And I've posted this reference photo on my channel community page, so that if you'd like to have a go drawing it, you could screenshot it there and print off a copy, or just draw it from your screen. Now trying to work out how high does this go. And notice at the corners here, it's not a triangle. Pediments, which is what this triangular shape is called, usually the top part overhangs. It doesn't come down to a triangular point the way it does at the top on each side. Again, it's easy to think that's what happens if we haven't observed carefully. Now, when we're beginning at drawing architecture, I think it's very helpful to choose viewpoints where we're looking straight onto our subject, because that reduces the complexity of what we have to draw. And that means we can work on the elements that we do have in a front-on scene. So things such as proportion, the relationship between the height and the width of something, rather than having to have the complexity of angles as well, and the perspective angles and the foreshortening, all of which add a level of complexity that is probably not helpful to be struggling with if we can't get the basic proportions of a front-on view correct. But notice, even with this front-on view, because we're relatively close to the building, although the doorway's front-on and those center columns are pretty much front-on, the two side columns, we can actually see part of the side of each one of them. And the arches at the top, we see a little bit of the sort of underneath looking up at the arch that changes in each of the three arches. So it's good to see those details and to include them in our drawing, because they're the little things that, while it's not obvious that we've drawn them or not drawn them, they actually bring a sense of realism into our drawing. They give a sense that this is a real view of a real building. So now I've got this fence, and you'll notice the fence doesn't go straight across the bottom. It doesn't actually line up parallel with the base of the building, because the ground towards me from the building, when I took the photo, slopes. And so I was trying to get that slope in it as well. These picket fences can be a challenge. I do intend just to do some very quick vertical hatching for the darker colour, for the darker value that we see between the pickets, because that will make the fence pop out. Now, I want to keep this quite simple because it is at beginner level, so I'm not going to worry about the stonework, but I do want to do some hatching for the shadows under this porch area, because that's very important for giving a sense of the three dimensions, that we have this entranceway that steps back behind the columns, the pillars, to the front of the building. But in the meantime, just trying to finish this picket fence. Now, I haven't agonized over counting the pickets and all of that. So, and I just realized actually I didn't darken those two, I think they could even be black or very darkly painted posts that support the gate in the center. I had intended to do that, but I've just realized that I didn't. I'm drawing with a 0.3 Copic multi-liner pen, and I'm actually holding it at quite an angle to the paper. And my marks, if you do slow this down, and it would probably be helpful at least for part of it to slow it down to real time, because you'll see how quickly I do a lot of my marks, especially short, straight ones. It lets me get a nice, brisk, fairly light line, which I can either leave light or I can do another line over the top to darken it slightly, depending what effect I want to create. Now, have a good look if you don't like drawing trees and foliage at how I'm drawing these shrubs. I'm not trying to draw a tree, I'm not trying to draw leaves, I'm just trying to create the pattern of lights and darks, the values, the lights and darks that the form creates. So I'm trying to capture the effect of the form. I have a playlist on drawing trees if trees are a problem for you. And if, like me, you're not particularly interested in cars except to drive them, and so you don't really know what they look like, I find it very helpful not to try and draw a car when we have cars in a reference, but simply to see the shapes and to draw the shapes so that they're in the same proportion. That's how I drew this car. And particularly when the cars are some way in the distance and they're what I call a support act in a drawing and not the main event, it's a very helpful way of doing it. Now, there are some lead lines in the glass to hold the smaller panes, so I put those in. Now, I want these windows to feel like they're slightly further back, so I can't do the lines too heavily or too darkly because that will make them visually feel like they're closer than other parts of the drawing that they're behind. And you'll notice with the hatching, I did the hatching at an angle, not straight up and down. If it was straight up and down, it would completely hide the straight up and down lines that I used for the lead lighting strips. Now, I do a layer of hatching at 45 degrees between the frame and the arch. And I do it this way first because I intend to do another layer of hatching at a different angle that comes down further and comes down over the white framing. I want the top of the white framing of these windows to be darker, but not as dark as the wall, because the white paint makes them feel lighter. So I'm trying to hatch in a way, layer in my hatching in a way to create that effect. G'day, I'm Stephen Travers, and I would recommend, if you're a beginner, to print off a hard copy the size you want to draw it and not to make it too large. It's easier to learn on a smaller scale. It's easier to control our marks, our lines, our curves, and the proportions if we can see it all clearly in one go rather than having to move our eyes around the paper. But hey, in the end, whatever you draw, however you draw it, and whatever level of drawing you're at, make sure you have fun. And then every drawing's a winner. I'll see you next time. Bye.